Okay, I'm gonna try making this video again. I've tried a couple of times, a few different ways, different software. It's just not working out the way I wanted it to. So I'm gonna record this on my iMac camera and hope all of this works out okay. All right, I know it's not the best camera, it's not the best footage, it's not the clearest. That doesn't really matter because what I want to show you isn't my face, okay? So what I want to talk about in this video is something that I hope you will get something from as you go into the next year, especially for your sermon preparation. Now, this is not a paid promotion. I do not get commission from Logos or anything like that. I've done a couple of videos on them as far as how I use them for sermon preparation and that sort of thing. But what I want to do is show you how I build a sermon layout in Logos. So what I will do is show you how I start, where I begin, and where I end. Will obviously be the final product whenever I've printed up my manuscript. And then you can preach in Logos because you have preaching mode and all that. We won't get into that. I just want to show you how I personally build my layout for sermon preparation. So if you're ready, here we go. I'm going to zoom my face way down. Whoop, there I go. And now we're in Logos. All right. Now push this off to the side, the video software. Now you can see right here, 7 Psalms for the season. That's the series I'm currently in. But I am actually going to be preaching a Christmas Eve service for another church that has asked me to come on Christmas Eve and preach to them. I also do sermons at our local nursing homes and things like that. I don't always go through this whole process for every sermon and things like that. Sometimes if I'm preaching at the nursing home, sometimes I will take the upcoming sermon that I'm going to deliver to my church family and I'll take maybe one point of that because those sermons, they're going to be a lot shorter. Maybe I'll do a video later about preaching at nursing homes and prisons and things like that. But for right now, I wanted to focus here on Logos and the layout and everything that I have going on. In fact, I'm going to make myself a little bit smaller here so you can see that. I hope you don't mind. But okay, here we go. Starting completely fresh. This is Logos. If I have the Max subscription, because I'm in seminary, because I'm studying a lot more, I'm doing more with that. So I use it. I use Logos every day. 4 or 5 times a day, it seems like, whether I'm doing a class or whether I'm working for my own school, a class that I'm going to teach or a class that I'm taking, a sermon that I'm putting together. I'm always in Logos. And so I've kind of got my own rhythm with it, and that's what I want to share with you. I did a couple of live videos last week about how I'll gather my study Bibles and my commentaries and all of that, and I'll eventually do a video on my iPad, show you how I dice up the text and things. But you have options, and so let's tear into it. I've said that already. Let's tear into it. You can come over here and pick write a sermon. You can do that, and it's going to look like this. Well, that was anticlimactic. You're going to type in your text, and I am preaching this New Year's Eve service. My goal is to preach from Hebrews 2, 14 to 18. And you see right here, it pops up right there. And it gives you a layout. It's going to give you your normal Bible. It's going to create this untitled sermon just for you to start typing everything. I'm not going to use that. I'm just going to go ahead and delete that. And actually, that reminds me, I need to go into, this is my sermon manager. This is every sermon I preached in 2025. And here we are. This is one that I actually wrote up to show you in a previous attempt at this, but I'm going to delete this too. And I'm going to begin by pulling my sermon manager over here. And I'm going to pull my commentary over here just to get it out of the way because I like to take my iPad. If you can see me in the window, I'll maximize myself again real quick. I like to take my iPad and it's just an iPad 4. iPads are really good software that lasts a long time with Logos, it seems like. I have an Android tablet, an old Samsung Tab A something. It is very clunky with Logos. Logos is a very hard software on, or a very hard software on your hardware. No, wait, that's you know what I mean. It's hard on your hardware, I think. It seems to really pull a lot on your processors and whatnot. But I will take my iPad, and this is my manuscript from Sunday, and you can't read that. But what I will do is I will make my window on my desktop about as big as it is on my iPad when I'm writing things, so that I understand where about things are going to be in preaching mode. And then I just set my iPad aside and move on with life. All right, so we're going to move on with life 2. We're back here. Whoop, where'd I go? There we go. We're going to go back to Logos. Now, these are my notes, and if you saw how I copy things into my notes and stuff, I'm probably not going to do that for this series, this thing. So I'm probably just going to close out notes. Boom, done. If I ever revisit Hebrews 2, 14 and 18, I'll have my sermon manuscript, but I want to hit this completely fresh at a later time. So what I need to do, though, is pop in my sermon for Christmas Eve. So I'm going to go here, pick Christmas Eve, one blank sermon. I have a very poor expository outline that I made years ago. And can I delete that? No, I can't. Okay. Anyway, so I'm just going to do a blank sermon for that day. Boom, there it is. I'm going to title it, Why Christmas, and go down here. I don't remember the name of the church I'm at. I'm going to figure that out. Service time, 7 p.m., Wednesday. There we go. It's a Wednesday night thing. And so there, and just add it in. Oh, I accidentally made another untitled. Here we go. Delete that. All right, so here's the sermon. So there it is. Boom, done. Now, I want to organize all this because right now this is chaos to me. So what I like to do is bring my Bible into the middle column like this, and I'm going to have my Greek here because I do know a little bit about Greek now that I've taken a semester of that. And you know, if you watched my live videos, you know that I like to have commentaries and study Bibles. Those are my main resources. Now, I will take the text and I'll write out word for word in English and the Greek word and look at the definitions, go through my lexicon. That's a whole nother thing. So I'm going to keep this open, but I'm going to come over here to my library. No, I'm not going to go to my library. I'm going to come over here to Factbook, and it's got commentaries open already for me. And it's going to have study Bibles open for me already. And all I have to do is just click on them and arrange them how I want. So BKC, this is a very simple, the Bible Knowledge Commentary. It's a very simple commentary. It's easy just to grab stuff quick. It's not going to be as in-depth as a commentary that's maybe specific to a book. And then you have Matthew Henry. Of course, I'm going to pull in Matthew Henry. Matthew Henry is like the Tom Brady of commentaries. To me, he's the greatest. But he's like the Bible Knowledge Commentary. He's not focused on one book, but he's going to give you a ton on wherever you're at. So I always include that, almost always, I should say. The IVP commentary by Craig Keener on the New Testament is good. Now, something quick I need to show. You see this little link set A? It's link set A up here on my ESV, and you know that I preach from the ESV if you watched last week's video. So I want my commentaries to be linked up to these the same way. So that's why I did this with Matthew Henry. I'm going to put all of these on A. Now, what's going to happen is, if say I click on this little link right here, Psalm 8, 4 through 6, well, that throws everything off, doesn't it? So I don't want that. So what I'm going to do is bring in another Bible down here, and I'm going to set this, send hyperlinks here. So now it opens here. It's not throwing off my link set. But I might get a little lost in the weeds chasing a rabbit trail later. We all do it. I'm going to open up the Legacy Standard Bible because I do like the Legacy Standard. And I'm going to do that up here. I'm going to show you again how to link these things. So bring this over here. I want this Legacy Standard to open up in set A, and I want this one to open up in set B. Now, if I go to Psalm 8 here, or scrolling down to Psalm 9, look, this has already gone down to Psalm 9. And I'm going to have a study Bible open. And normally I would do the MacArthur Study Bible or the Reformation Study Bible. But this time I want to do the ESV. And that's going to be set to B. Okay. But I also want my study Bibles up here. And so I'm going to begin with MacArthur. And I'm going to set him to link A. And I want him in his own little, I want all my study Bibles kind of in their own little window right here. All right. Now, depending on your screen size, you may not want these things this big. This is what's nice right here. You can kind of, there it is. You can kind of drag and get that right there. And you can, as long as you want to set these at different sizes. Now, I'm going to read more from my commentaries than I am from my my other verses, my parallel passages and whatnot. Oop, didn't mean to do that. This is the tricky thing. Sometimes these little borders don't like to work. There it is. So bring that over here. All right. So I've got my commentary set up, Hebrews 2:14. I've got them linked right here to this. You might say, well, why don't you have these linked to A and have A right there? And it's just what works for me. You can do what works for you. I'm just trying to show you something to kind of get you on your path. But I also want more study Bibles open. So I'm going to pop this open. I know that I can just type in study Bible. All right. And here's ESV. And I'm going to do it again. CSB Study Bible. And where's that? Here we go. Click on here. And I'm going to grab Joel Beakey right here. And R.C. Sproul, also with the Reformation. Did Sproul do Hebrews? I don't think he did. Oh, that's not what I wanted, though. What am I doing? Sometimes that backspace button is our best friend because we are not perfect and we make lots of mistakes. Now, where did it go? All right. Reformation Study Bible. There we go. Oh, I've got 2 copies of it. That's cool. All right, so up here, my study Bibles are done. I'm going to go through and read 5 different study Bibles, all their notes on what they say about the main text. But now I'm going to come back over here to Fact Book because I like to have about 10 to 12 commentaries open at all times. And I'm going to set these up here to A. I want all these to link up with A. I don't have to do this, especially for just like a one-off sermon like this. But I don't want to treat this sermon, I don't want to treat any sermon like it's just a throwaway sermon. Because it's not. I'm going to keep this manuscript and I'm going to be preaching the Word of God. So I want to have some reverence, even in my preparation. But I come over here, there's John Calvin's commentary. There's, where was the other one I like? Oh yeah, here's this more Reformed commentary. David McWilliams. I don't know much about him, but we'll see what he's got. And of course, I have another Matthew Henry commentary. The MacArthur Bible commentary. That's just the study Bible notes. Save your money. I bought it twice. It's kind of not really, it's the same thing as the study Bible. Commentary on the New Testament. Yeah, absolutely. You should have that in your library. If you don't, I definitely recommend it. The New Testament use of the Old Testament, commentary on that. And then you have to hit more, because if in Logos, if you have a lot, you're going to have to, go through your library. And I'm not going to dig through all of these. Let's see, Swindle. Yep, I like him. We'll throw him in there. Where is my... And you notice this little line right here? These are commentaries I don't own. Ooh. So I don't have the ESV or Expository Bible Commentary on Hebrews. I think I have it in hard copy behind me, but Erdman's Companion to the Bible, I'll open that up. Warren Wiersbe was up here somewhere. Where'd he go? There he is. Wiersbe's B series. I always throw that in there. And then I have the MacArthur commentary right here. And if you don't use John MacArthur's commentaries, I really like them. I think MacArthur basically just takes his sermons and makes commentaries. But I'm going to set that in there. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 commentaries. I'm going to move Mac over here. And this more reformed commentary. Now, I won't use all of them always, every time. I don't have the full MacArthur set, for example. But I have about a good wealth there of information. And so when I'm ready to write my sermon up, I can check the commentaries after I've done my meditations and I've thought about things. But another thing I want to show you that usually goes into my sermon prep that I think is very useful. Now, I have an entire exegetical guide thing I built for myself. But this is 10. I don't want 10. I want 14. So, okay. There we go. You're going to open the exegetical guide. If you didn't see how I did it, I go over here to the guides. If you need to find it, if you don't have it at the top like I do, just type in exeg, and there it is. Excuse me. And then that's going to show you line by line, word by word, what is used in the Greek, how to understand it. It's going to take all of your Bible dictionaries and your whatevers, and they're going to tell you basically what each word means. And I do this. I go through each one word for word. Now, I do have another setup that I created. I don't even know how I created it. I followed some teaching on it on YouTube or something, and it dives deeper into the Greek for me. But as a basic thing, if I'm in a rush or I just want to kind of take my time and just focus just on that, I might use just the exegetical guide. But my other thing is more Bible dictionaries and lexicons and things like that. Lexicon, that's the word I was looking for. So then I'm going to come over here to my actual sermon. It always starts with heading 1. I don't know why it does that. But I'm not going to choose a template, and I'm not going to ask it to suggest an outline. You can do that by clicking these little stars right here, typing in your text, 2:14 to 18. And let's see, sermon outline. What's my sermon theme? Well, Christmas. We're just going to put that. And I usually do 3 points. And you can push this, and it's going to make an outline for you. I never use it. Never use it. I do this sometimes just to kind of get my creative gears flowing, maybe. I never use the outline they give you. The Gifts of Christmas. See, I already don't like the title. And then you're going to come down here, the big idea. This is what I would call thesis statement. The joy and hope of Christmas lie in the realization that God's greatest gift to us, Jesus Christ, transforms our lives and empowers us to share that love with the world. That's good. I'm not going to use it. I'm going to have my own 5-7 word thesis, something people can write down in their notes and take with them. But then they give you this outline. And I've noticed Logos uses a lot of P words in their outlines, probably because that's the easiest. Seems like when everybody's starting out alliterating their sermons, they pick P words. So I'm not going to use that, though. What I'm going to do is every time I start a sermon, I use what's called a preamble. This is not my introduction. This is my prayer and hey, while you're turning there, I want to tell you this illustration, this story, this hook, so they start to pay attention. And I'm not going to write anything right now because I have nothing. I haven't started really. And then I want to put my text in here. I keep wanting to write 14 too. There is no Hebrews 14. And this is something they've added. Used to, you'd hit enter and you'd have a wall of text. But you just push Command Enter if you want that. I don't really want that because I actually read from my Bible when I go to preach. If you want to add a tab, and I'll show you more about the tabs in a minute, that's kind of nice, but I don't do that here. And then I'm going to have my thesis statement, which will be my one point that drives my whole sermon. And then I'll do my introduction, and that's where I'll really begin to kind of talk about what the text means, unpack that thesis just a little bit before I really crack into my first point. Now, the way I've broke this down as of right now, and everything's fluid at this point. Nothing's ever set in stone, right? It shouldn't be. You don't want to be so tied to your manuscript, everything's set in stone. But I'm going to write out my outline as I have it divided up by the scripture. And so Hebrews 2, what am I doing here? 2:15, Hebrews 2:16. Point 3 will be Hebrews 2:17 and Hebrews 2:18. Okay, and then I'm going to come down here, my conclusion. Now, you've probably never seen my manuscripts because I don't really share them until later, but I have little shortcuts set up. When I want to preach the text and make sure that in my mind, as I'm looking at my manuscript, I know this is in my text. I have this set. Now, if I'm typing another verse like Psalm 23:1, okay, I'm going to put that text in bold red. I want my mind trained so that when I'm reading from the Bible, I have that in my head. I know I'm reading this. I don't want to mess up the quote, so I'm looking at red. Okay, I'm not going to use Psalm 23:1, at least I don't think. You can you can set these types of things up at the top here, saved styles, and this would be my thesis. So when I go to write my thesis, why did it do that? My thesis statement, I'll highlight that, and then boom. And then when I repeat my thesis, because I'm one of those guys, I like to repeat my thesis a few times so that it gets in their head. At the end of my point, I'll do it again. And I want to make sure that my brain registers that as I'm reading and such. But then for my points, I have this color set up, and each point will be like that. Now I use Faith Life Proclaim. I don't often make PowerPoints in Logos as I'm going through everything, but I will sometimes make a PowerPoint in here, and I'll set all my headers and stuff, and it creates slides automatically. It also does that for the text. If you do it a certain way, if you do it with that command, return, enter, whatever. How do I mean this? Okay, let's show the slides. All right. Now, I do not use this, but there's my title right there. It creates a slide. If you make something a header, or you do this, it's going to create slides for you. And if your church uses Proclaim or PowerPoint or whatever, you can go back and basically it makes your PowerPoint for you. I don't really do that, whatever, because like I said, I just don't do that. I make my own things in Proclaim. But there you go. I'm ready to study and start. If you go back and look at my live videos, how I highlight things and save things in notes, I probably won't do that for this sermon, like I mentioned earlier. But it's good to go. It's ready. And so what I'll do is save this layout. Now, how do I do that? You go down here to these little squares. Well, one's a rectangle. 2 squares and a rectangle. Save as named layout. Why Christmas Eve sermon. Enter. Boom. Now it's saved. Okay. So now I made this little icon of a cross so that if I were to change something, say I move B key over here, if I close it out and reopen it, B key won't be moved. So I hit this little thing right here, this little shortcut I made. It's a cross because Jesus saves. Okay. And then close it out. Close. There we go. All right. For some reason, it's going slow on me. And now I'm here at my main screen, and I want my layout up so I don't forget to work on this sermon if the holidays start getting super busy. And I'm going to put it up here next to my 7 Psalms for the season, which is my current series at my home church. And now, whenever I'm ready, boom. There we go. There's my layout. So, all that to be saying, I hope this helps you in your sermon preparation. I hope that this is something that you can get and use in your 2026 preaching calendar. Maybe I'll show sometime how to make your preaching calendar and all that. But as for now, I hope this has blessed you. I hope that you are encouraged and you are ready to preach your Christmas sermon, because you probably aren't getting this until after Christmas. So maybe for your New Year's Eve sermon, this will help. Or something in the new year. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you give me a thumbs up and leave a comment down below. Maybe you have a better layout suggestion you'd like to throw out. Make sure you do that. Why not? Help other people out. Help me out. Maybe there's something you got that works better. Anyway, God bless you guys. Hope you have a great Christmas and New Year's and all that. So thanks a lot.